Patreon Q&A number 116. I want to thank all 114 of my amazing patrons. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to support me the way that you have been. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers for every series that I'm talking about, so tread carefully. Chris G asks, do you think main character slash protagonist in One Punch Man never dying takes away from the overall stakes of the series? I'm going to say yes and no. And you say that there's like many other series where characters consistently die. I don't necessarily agree with that, at least not like the really popular big series that I follow, mainly in like shonen demographic, but other battle mangas and whatnot. However, I did just finish Demon Slayer, and that series has a lot of deaths in it, like a lot more than what I can remember like a mainstream shonen manga having. And if like a character doesn't die, they're either maimed or nerfed into obscurity or something like that. And like all of these characters dying in Demon Slayer, I don't really think it helped the story. And yeah, it certainly raises the stakes. You never really feel safe with anyone once you're reading Demon Slayer and you realize the rules of the story pretty much. Similar to how Game of Thrones was, I suppose. But I don't think that necessarily makes something good or makes it bad either. Now, while no main characters, I guess, have died in One Punch Man yet, I don't think that's necessarily weighing the series down or lowering the stakes or anything like that, because I do think that deaths will come in One Punch Man. And I think that's mainly what the stakes are riding on right now. It's just that like any moment could be the moment where a character dies. I don't think that One Punch Man is a series where characters are really safe. I just think that one really enjoys these characters and wants to tell so much of a story with all of them individually and then bring them all together for one big story, I suppose. Or at least just flesh out as many characters as he can. And he really doesn't want to let go of any of them. So mainly the big deaths come from like the monsters or the villains or things like that, and sometimes not even with them. So I don't think it overall takes away from the stakes of the series. Like I'm never really reading One Punch Man and thinking like, oh, they're gonna make it out of this. Well, mainly reading the webcomic. The manga, you know, we kind of know what's going to happen at this point for the most part. But I'm not thinking like, oh, this character's safe because, you know, whatever. I'm thinking that like, oh, is this the time where a character is going to die? Or is this the time when a character is going to become a monster or something like that? Because I really do think that it will eventually get to the point of where we're led into this false sense of security and then a major character dies or something like that and you're like, whoa. And then also on the other hand, no one ever dies and we just go through the whole entire series with everyone making it out until the end. And if that did happen, I wouldn't be mad at it. I don't think it would ruin the series or anything. Maybe it would just take away from it just a little bit. Maybe retrospectively looking back on it and thinking like, oh, well, that moment could have been better if that character did in fact die. Or maybe things could have flowed better if there was an actual character death that wasn't like a monster or something like that. And then for your second question, when does One Piece hit its prime in your opinion? I've watched around 80 episodes so far. It's not bad by any means, but it hasn't impressed me too much. So yeah, One Piece is a very slow burn type of series. And I'm not saying like in the slow burn where it's not good and you kind of need to wait to get to the good stuff. I think One Piece is good straight from the beginning up until where you are when they arrive on Drum Island. It certainly hasn't reached a big moment yet, because after this arc, they'll eventually get to that point. But I definitely think things are going to pick up in the following arc, because after this point, they're going to be heading to like a major location where like this whole first part of the story is kind of building towards, especially with Vivi, considering that she's with them. And it's like that arc and the conclusion of it is really like the first major big like cathartic moment of One Piece where you're like, oh wow, this is incredible. Like everything that is building up to this point really has a big payoff. So you're like almost there, and I know that's weird saying that like you're already 80 episodes in and there's series that don't even last 80 episodes, but that's just the thing about One Piece. It has a lot of fluff to it, it's very extrapolated, but it is the GOAT still nonetheless. But I would say stick to the manga instead of the anime. The anime stretches the manga even more than it's already stretched, and there's like a lot of filler in there and stuff like that. So if you feel like it, I would just say stick to the manga from this point on. You can also probably get through it quicker. But as for like its prime, in my opinion, it would either be Enies Lobby, which is like anime episodes like the late 260s to the early 300s, or the Marineford battle, which is like happens in like the late 400s, at least episode wise. Yeah, I know that's a lot to get through, but it's all worth it in the end. Beowolf asks, how did Izuku give Bakugo one for all at the end of the My Hero 2 Heroes movie and then get it back at the end. Well, this is like real touch and go, I'll say, with the writing that pertains to this scene. All Might basically just chalks it up to saying that the vestiges allowed this to happen. So instead of like entirely passing One for All off to Bakugo, through the hacks of their quirkery, they allowed him to, I guess, lend it to him, while he also had it at the same time, similar to how All Might had the embers. He had even more than that, I suppose. So he basically just kind of like duplicated it almost, lended it to Bakugo, and then once it was over, it left Bakugo and it just returned to Izuku. All due to the, you know, amplified power of One for All, you know, through the years of, you know, vestiges and being passed down. They could just do that if they want to. And they don't necessarily need to eat the DNA of somebody. They just need the DNA to be inside of them and to have the person like willfully transfer it to them. So like blood on blood and Izuku wanting it to transfer, it can make it happen. And then for your second question, Demon Slayer Kuya Bashiki in his prime versus current Bang. So I talked to you about that also on Patreon. I'm not sure who you're talking about here, Kuya Bashiki. The only character whose name is like this is Ubiyashiki, who was the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, but he wasn't powerful or skilled. He was mainly just the leader because it was like a lineage thing and they just had respect for him. He couldn't train because of his illness or like holding a sword made him ill or something like that. But if you're just talking about like super strong Demon Slayer characters in their prime, maybe you could be talking about Yoriichi here, the guy who invented breathing. He's probably #1 in the verse, at least at this point it seems like he is, or at least was. So him against current Bang, it would be a pretty good fight. I mean, I'm not really sure in the end how strong Yoriichi really is. It ultimately comes down to like his speed and reflexes, I guess. That's what mainly makes him so outrageous. I mean, are they on the level of Atomic Samurai? Maybe. Super hard to say. I'll have to look more into this and maybe make a video dedicated to this stuff, but I don't think Atomic Samurai could defeat current Bang. I think maybe Bang's reflexes are a little too much for him. So I'm not gonna say like 100% certain Bang could defeat him, but I'm saying like it's likely that he would, probably. But again, I'm not entirely sure of Yoriichi's full extent. Crazy Iguana asks, who do you think would win in a fight between Sairochi and Godzilla's final form from the King of the Monsters movie? So I did see that final sequence with Godzilla in that movie. It was kind of fun, but I don't think he's quite on the level of Sairochi. And I know that in the first movie, he like survives a nuke in the opening sequence. And I mean, take that for what you will, I guess. But considering like how powerful Sairochi is, that we've seen fully and like what she can do, I think she would probably take Godzilla, at least from this specific movie here. Not even just talking about her laser stuff that can like, you know, shoot through the continents, which Godzilla hasn't replicated, but maybe just her Esper powers alone would be enough to just pick him up and like crush him or something. Again, I mean, maybe I'm wrong because I don't really know deep Godzilla lore like that, but just one-for-one comparisons here. Sairochi seems to be the more powerful one. Crusader Days Vault asks, how would Zombie Man, Metal Bat, and Tank Top Master do against the aliens from the movie Aliens? I think Zombie Man, Metal Bat, and Tank Top Master could, I don't know, low to mid div take care of the xenomorphs from Aliens. I mean, they are powerful and strong, and certainly compared to normal humans, but like gunfire and stuff like that, I mean, I know it's future guns and stuff like that, but still it was taking them down. So like Metal Bat, you know, swinging that bat, Tank Top Master with his power, and Zombie Man with his regeneration and whatever else he does, I think could take down the xenomorphs and probably even the alien queen. And then for your second question, who would win between Sanji and Super Elite Darkshine? So Sanji is really powerful right now, you know, close to dragon level, if not already a dragon level. I'd have to look more into it, of course, but he's minimum demon. But Darkshine, I just feel like is maybe a little too durable, a little too strong for him at this moment in time. I mean, maybe Sanji could be somewhat competitive. I mean, he does have pretty good observation hockey, but I don't know, I just think Darkshine's raw power and just insane durability could probably stop Sanji. Delamante asks, who do you think is the strongest to weakest? Full power Gojo, Sukuna, or Fushiguro with his full potential and Hidden Seeker power? So I'm only watching the Jujutsu Kaisen anime at the moment. I will eventually go into the manga very soon, probably next month, and you know, finish that and all that stuff. But I'm only up to episode 10. Is that the current one that they're on right now? So I don't know remotely close to what the answer to these individuals are, but from what I've seen so far in the anime, I'll say that Sukuna is probably the strongest. And I know that Gojo said that you know, Sukuna with all 20 fingers, Gojo could still probably defeat him. But I don't know, I kind of got the feeling that he kind of hesitated to answer that question, so maybe he's not entirely sure. And also, I think it would be a little anticlimactic if Gojo just was stronger than full power Sukuna the whole time. I'm not saying that like he doesn't come close to him, because I'm sure they're, you know, rivaling each other maybe, but I don't know, I just get the feeling Sukuna is probably the one above all with all 20 fingers, at least at this point in time with the limited knowledge I have. So then he would be first, then Gojo number 2, and then Fushiguro, I understand that he does have potential to him, as Sukuna stated. What is that potential? I mean, it kind of had him worried, but like, you know, what does that exactly mean? How worried was he? So I'll just put Fushiguro at number 3 for right now, but for all I know, maybe he could be number 1. Eric asks, what is Mirio's disaster level? So I would say just demon. I think that's fair to say, at least just off of the one metric, you know, difficulty of extermination. That would make him a demon. Like, his permeation ability is insane, and it would be insane in One Punch Man still. I mean, his strength and speed, they're like A-class level probably, so those aren't demon level, but that ability makes up for it in my opinion. Dino W asks, what do you think about them revealing Garo's plans early? I think it's fine, and they probably should have even talked about this, or at least alluded to it earlier than this, because like I said in my review, that was pretty much the first time we had insight into what Garo ultimately wanted. But I also like how they're doing it here, because they're just revealing like the bulk of it, I suppose. They don't reveal the whole peace aspect. I mean, they're not revealing that Garo inherently is a good guy. He is the true hero here. He's just, you know, misguided. Whereas to where he's trying to force world peace. And while his heart is in the right place, it's just his mind that's going about it all wrong. You know, you can't really force world peace via fear and all that stuff. In theory, I guess you could, but you know, we'll eventually get to the point of that, you know, when he's going against Saitama. And then for your second question, considering Darkshine was brought back earlier, how do you think he's going to play out with the cadres in the post-arc? Will he still be retired coaching or brought into a new direction? I think that's all probably still going to play out the same way. I'm curious to see if Darkshine actually fights the cadres here. I think that would be incredible. I mean, seemingly he should, unless whatever is going to happen with, I think, Orochi, you know, he's probably going to fight Orochi at the minimum, and then maybe something is going to happen, and I don't know. I'm really curious as to see where all of the S-Class heroes here going against the cadres is going to play out, but I do think he will inevitably run back into Awakened Garo, you know, towards the end of the arc, and then he's going to get destroyed, and then maybe that will like fracture his confidence again or something, or how the heroes handle Garo possibly will lead him to just want to not be a hero anymore and go into coaching for the Neo Heroes. And I also think that's going to give the reason for Metal Bat, or one of the reasons Metal Bat has to leave the Hero Association and go to the Neo Heroes. GardenShed asks, what do you think about E-Iron and his relationship with My Mask? This is a good question, and like, since you said you don't read the webcomic, this isn't expanded upon in the webcomic at all. E-Iron is hardly in the webcomic, so I'm not sure where this is headed exactly, but I think that they're probably setting up E-Iron to be the #1 A-class hero. Like, I mean, he technically is if My Mask leaves, which he eventually does. So I'm assuming that maybe My Mask gives him the blessing to become the A-class hero in the future or something like that, or E-Iron becomes a future S-class hero. Maybe E-Iron is included to be a part of Amai's eventual character arc that he has, or at least one of them. Maybe he's going to be closer towards that, because I don't know if you want to be spoiled here, but if you read these Q&As, you've had to have been spoiled by now. But instead of Blue Fire showing up with the whole big Amai sequence that happens later on, I think it might be E-Iron that shows up randomly, and then maybe they have like a moment there in the manga. Goliath Xanatos asks, how would the world of One Punch Man change if normal humans and heroes have the innate ability to use energy-based attacks, akin to Chakra from Naruto or Ki from Dragon Ball? I wouldn't like it personally. I mean, I don't mind that ability. I think it's a pretty cool ability, but I think that should be reserved for only like the strongest characters, probably similar to like how they're handling it in One Punch Man right now. But if anybody could just do it, and like you asking like who would be the most powerful if they could, I mean, Tatsumaki, of course. Blast can probably already do that. I mean, considering what we're seeing from Blue, I mean, that's not exactly like an energy beam, but something coming out of his arm, and you know, Blast and the part in the data book about how he could shoot lasers from his eyes, and when we saw some Sairochi or just Psychos, I'm assuming that Blast could do it. So if Tatsumaki could do it, if Darkshine could do it, if Silver Fang, Flashy Flash, if those people could do it, I mean, they would be all outrageously powerful, right? I mean, Sairochi, you know, with the assistance of Orochi and seemingly God's power, could shoot a laser that could, you know, cut through a continent, I guess. I guess the others doing stuff like that would be able to blow up cities and stuff, no problem, I'm assuming. So it would be way more chaotic of a world than it already is, but also it would also kind of ruin things and jump the shark immediately if everybody could just, you know, shoot world-busting blasts. Joe D asks, if Saitama were Santa Claus, how quickly do you think he could deliver presents to all the children on Earth? Well, I mean, if he's faster than Boros and Flashy Flash, then he's, you know, I'm not gonna go into calculations or anything like that, but he's, you know, just think about it, he's, you know, unbelievably fast. So if he really wanted to, I mean, I don't know if he could hit every kid on Earth, or at least the ones that believe in Santa Claus. Maybe he could in like a couple hours. I mean, he's like, you know, so fast that you couldn't even fathom it. So, I mean, if he really wanted to, maybe he could. I don't know. And then for your second question, who is your most played artist from Spotify this year? So I can't post my rap because my Spotify app isn't working right now. I don't know what maybe I have to update it or something. But I can tell you right now, it's probably gonna be Code Orange, NASCAR Aloe, Youth Code, 9 Inch Nails. Legandaryus asks, what world out of all the ones you know has the strongest people on average, as in the whole world was to fight against the another world? Dragon Ball, for sure. There's not really many series that I could think of that has like a comparable power scale to Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Super. Like, everyone is, I guess, minimum planet buster at this point, and with seemingly no drawback or consequences, you can just do whatever you want. Everybody can fly, everybody has these crazy abilities. There's not really many series, at least that I follow, that come close to like the level that Dragon Ball has. Little Ferrari asks, what is your ranking of all of the forms in Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super? I'm talking about all the Super Saiyan forms, God forms, and Ultra Instinct. You can include the Great Ape form as well if you want. So number 1, Super Saiyan 2. I really like that. I think it's pretty aesthetic on almost everyone that has it. Number 2, Super Saiyan 4. This is an awesome form. You know, way too good probably to be in Dragon Ball GT. It's one of like the saving grace of that series. Number 3, Ultra Instinct. It's pretty cool looking. Like the aura, everything that has to go into it. I think it's pretty satisfying for like his ultimate form, at least at this point. Number 4, Super Saiyan God. When it's originally revealed, it's kind of underwhelming, but like after the fact, once they get rid of like the leaniness, the lankiness part of it, and they just make it like just red-haired Super Saiyan, I think it looks pretty awesome, especially on Vegeta, it looks the best. And then number 5, just the standard Super Saiyan, it's fine. Number 6, Super Saiyan 3. I really like that form as well. I think it's pretty cool. And then number 7, Super Saiyan Blue. I don't know, the whole Super Saiyan Blue thing never really got to me that much. And then number 8, Great Ape, because I don't know, it's fine, but it's not as cool as these other forms, in my opinion. Mr.Awsome asks, who would win between the Vice Admirals of One Piece and the A-Class heroes of One Punch Man? So, hard to say, because we honestly haven't really seen too much of the Vice Admirals in One Piece. I mean, aside from the ones you excluded, Momonga, he seems pretty powerful. I've always kind of respected him as a character. I thought he was cool, and hopefully we get to see more of him. But they seem maybe kind of comparable to A-Class heroes from One Punch Man, maybe a little stronger. So, I mean, the Disciples going against the Vice Admirals, I feel like it would maybe be somewhat of a competitive battle. But, I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards the Vice Admirals, but maybe the A-Class heroes could take it too. I don't know, really hard to say. And your second question, what if Kaminari was born with the power of the Rumble fruit instead of electrification? So he would be like a prodigy pretty much. If he was born with a quirk like that, it would be one of the greatest quirks ever. And I think they would take notice of that and he would be pushed. Maybe similar to how Hawks was. Maybe he wouldn't even go to school. They would just put him in like that special secret program for, you know, prodigies and whatnot. And he would just, you know, grow up to become, you know, a pro hero that way. And if he had enough talent aside from his quirk, he would be the #1 hero probably, you know, when All Might decided to hang it up. Natedawg asks, what's the best technique from best to worst? Bang's abandonment, Demon Slayer's breathing, or Goku's Kaioken? I would say maybe Demon Slayer's breathing is the best overall because it has the most benefits with the least amount of drawbacks, I guess, because like the breathing technique makes you as strong as a demon, I suppose, and then you can use the sword techniques and stuff like that. You just mainly have to master the whole breathing aspect of it, but that also kind of impedes with you during battle. And then number 2 is, I guess, Kaioken. I mean, it straight up doubles your power or your ki or whatever. And it's extremely powerful, but then it has the drawback of being like hard on your body and whatnot. And then Bang's Abandonment, it's never really stated that it makes you stronger. It just clears your mind and I guess makes you be able to compete at your highest physicality, I suppose, or something like that. I mean, I'm sure they'll explain it once it comes to the manga. Better than the data book explains it. Paper Wario asks, who would be a better fit for receiving One For All, Sato or Kirishima? I would say Kirishima for sure. I mean, yeah, Sato does get a power boost from his quirk, but I don't really think it matters because One For All already makes you super powerful, so I don't really think it's that needed, but having Kirishima's hardening quirk is like a great quirk to complement One For All's abilities. And plus Kirishima has like a better constitution than Sato, you know, something like like we'll hear that like a recurring theme in, anime and whatnot. Like he's more driven and seems more talented than Sato, so it would be better for Kirishima to have it along with his quirk, which Izuku is probably going to get anyway. Second question is, do you think Tamaki or Nejiri could have taken all of Class 1A minus Bakugo and Todoroki, similar to Mirio with more or less difficulty? At that point in time, I think they could have taken them all similar to how Mirio did, but with a little more difficulty. I think he is clearly ahead of both of them, but they still would have taken them all out probably. Robin asks, do you think Hero Hunter Garo versus Akaza would be a competitive fight? Yes, I do. I think Akaza is pretty darn strong even for One Punch Man. He'd probably be a demon for sure. So Hero Hunter Garo is probably a demon too, and it would be a pretty good fight. I think Garo would probably win because Akaza plays into his style. Chase C asks, what if Kisame went against Carnage Kabuto? So Kisame, obviously pretty powerful, one of the strongest Akatsuki, held in very high regard, but I think Carnage Kabuto is probably stronger than him, at least, physically and speed-wise. But granted, I'm very rusty on Kisame and just Naruto in general, but it just seems like Carnage Kabuto is overall stronger, at least, like from the physical aspect. And also, Carnage Kabuto doesn't have chakra, and that plays into Kisame's style. So like, is Carnage Kabuto as strong as Might Guy with the 6 or 7 gates? I don't know. I mean, there's Naruto people that are going to say that he's way stronger, that all the Naruto characters are just National Level God, and then there's some people that are going to say that they're not. Seeing as how Carnage Kabuto pushed Darkshine to his absolute limit in the VGS, and we know how strong Darkshine is, at least from a static perspective, I would say that's maybe a little too much for Kisame, but maybe I'm wrong. Simone Kamina asks, how long will the Goku versus Saitama be? It won't be that long. It's not going to be like a 20-minute video. I'm just going to get to the point as soon as I can. I don't really want to draw anything out. I don't think it needs to be drawn out. There's been plenty of videos made on this subject. I just want to get my thoughts out there on like what the matchup would be like and how it would probably play out. I don't need to go like into every single bit of detail about these two characters. I don't really think it's even necessary. And then your second question, founder of the Aldea Village is faster than Flashy Flash. I don't know who you're talking about here. Are you talking about the founder of the Ninja Village, like the guy that doesn't have a name from One Punch Man, or are you talking about Tobirama from Naruto? Either way, I don't think Tobirama is faster than Flashy Flash, but as for the leader of the Ninja Village, I mean, maybe he's just as fast as Flashy Flash. It's so hard to say considering we don't see any feats from him, and he is defeated by Saitama pretty easily, and Flashy Flash was able to evade Saitama. So does that mean something? I don't know. How hard was he trying against Flashy Flash? How hard was he trying against the Ninja Leader? I don't know, just way too hard to say right now, but I'll say they're probably around the same level of speed. Snopeas asked, excited for any upcoming anime? I am. So the final season of Attack on Titan is coming out tomorrow or very soon, maybe today, I don't know. It's coming out pretty soon. I'm not gonna be able to make any content on the channel because I'm already swamped with everything as it is, but I probably will be watching it and it looks pretty awesome. Aside from that, I'm looking forward to the rest of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is probably gonna have 14 more weeks of episodes, or whenever they're allowed to, because I know they're gonna have a break in December. And then season 5 of My Hero is gonna be amazing, and then Bleach, the Blood War, when that comes, that's gonna be cool too. But those are pretty much the main things on my mind at the moment. And Wolffire54 asks, what do you think Saitama's nationality is, along with Garo? So I know that Murata made some comments on characters' ethnicities and nationalities. I think he said that like Fubuki and Tatsumaki would be French or something, and that like King is more Westerner along with Genos. I always got the feeling that all of the characters in One Punch Man are like a mix of nationalities, because like they say that in the past, like all of the remaining people came together in the supercontinent and the language was unified. And that happened many, many years ago. So I'm assuming that since then they've all kind of intermingled, and maybe all of the nationalities and races are just all mixed together at this point. But if that's not the case, then I guess Saitama's just Japanese or something. And Garo is probably the same as Saitama, I suppose, if they aren't just a mix of nationalities and they're just Japanese or something. I never got the feeling that Saitama or Garo weren't Japanese or something. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 114 of my amazing patrons. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, simply check out the Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.